Hi everyone, this is Mindy Eggen and welcome back to my channel. 3D embossing folders are so versatile and fairly priced that there are tons of techniques out there that you can use with them. Sometimes for me, it's like information or technique overload and I don't know where to start. So today for my video using 3D embossing folders, I am going back to basics. I'm going to show you how I emboss my cardstock and then just lightly apply ink for a beautiful soft look. The embossing folders that I'll be using today are from the Simon Says Stamp Handmade Holiday Release. This is the SNOWFLOCKED Hills, Christmas Cookies, and Winter Trees, but this technique you can use with any embossing folder that you may have. I am starting with an 80-pound white cardstock cut to 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and I'm going to line it up into my embossing folder and then close it. Now my sandwich for embossing folders is going to be my main platform. I have a metal shim, a folded piece of cardstock, and then my 3D embossing folder. These are thicker than just a regular embossing folder. Then I'm going to run this through my Spellbinders Platinum 6 die cut machine. You may need to experiment with different shims to see what works best for you. Once I run that through, I will open this and pull out my cardstock, and you're going to see this beautifully detailed embossed image, which looks good on colored cardstock and also beautiful on white. So I'm trying to tilt it here so you can see the beautiful detail that 3D embossing folder provides. I'm going to repeat those same steps for both the Christmas Cookies embossing folder and also the Winter Trees. Now I did also find that if you tilt your embossing folder just a little bit, kind of kitty corner it on your platform, it kind of takes into the machine a lot easier as well. Another thing I would suggest trying out is embossing with either a holographic cardstock or if you have a type of metallic or foil type of cardstock. It looks stunning on those as well. Now that I have my 3 panels that are embossed with a 3D embossing folder, I'm going to add some ink to this. Now these look great just embossed on their own, but to lightly apply some ink, I'm going to be using an Altenew ink blending tool. These are flat. There is no dome to it, which I have found works a lot better than the dome blending tools. So this is flat on the bottom, and for the SNOWFLOCKED Hills cardstock here that I have, I am lightly ink blending on the Turquoise Sea ink from Gina Designs, just applying even pressure as I'm lightly ink blending this on. You'll be able to see that there is a little bit of color being picked up in the background, but it's going to be darker on those embossed areas. Then I'll move on to the background with the Christmas cookies. And for this one, I'm going to apply Gina Designs Red Velvet ink. This is one of my favorite reds because it is so vibrant and just a really true red. And once again, lightly applying that ink, but you can see because it's red and it's so vibrant, it really stands out on those embossed areas. Now I'll move on to my last panel, which has the Winter Trees on it. And for this one, I experimented a little bit by adding multiple colors. So I started with Limelicious from Simon Says Stamp, starting at the top and kind of working around the sides. I'm leaving the center as kind of a highlight area to this. The green just wasn't quite hitting me like I had hoped it would, so I'm going to bring in another color. I brought in that Turquoise Sea that I had used previously, and I'm starting by adding that to the very top of the card. Now this really didn't come across as the blue that I was hoping for, it just made it kind of a darker green. So I decided to bring in the navy, which is another one of my favorite colors from Gina. It's super dark, and this one just really did the trick for me. It's really making that center area kind of a highlight, and not only great for Christmas cards or really any occasion cards, but I think kind of the fantasy card like fairies and things like that would be magical in this. Here's a look at the 3 backgrounds that I quickly created. This really took no time at all to do. And since these were pretty simple, I decided to do one of my favorite things, and that's just adding flicks of shimmer to the background, especially this winter tree background. This is the white iridescent shimmer mist from Hero Arts. I just spritzed a little bit on my work surface, added some water, and then flicked that onto the background, and I also added it to this Snowflocked Hills background as well. A sentiment for all three of my cards is going to be this Merry and Bright die set, which is another one of my favorites. I guess I should have titled the video My Favorites, because everything in here, I just kind of went back to what I really love, and that's ink blending, and I love this die set, and also this glitter paper pack from Memory Box. I die cut out the Merry and Bright from some of the red glitter and also some of the different shades of gold glitter that is in this paper pack. I'm going to start by assembling my card. I have a card base here that is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. I placed a little bit of Easy C tape to the inside to hold it closed, and then a little bit of dot runner on the back to hold it in place in my Misty. Now, all of my panels, I trimmed about 1/4 inch off of the edges, and then I'm adding it with a tape runner to the front of this cardstock. I also layered together about 3 pieces of white cardstock behind that embossed panel just to add a little bit of dimension to my card front. I've also been finding that using my Misty like that has really helped me align my card fronts a lot better than I was before. I wanted to add a sub-sentiment underneath the Merry and Bright, and I love these reverse sentiment strips from Simon Says Stamp. I have quite a few of them in my stash, so I did list a couple of them down below in the video description. And to cut these out, I am using the Sentiment Labels die. I just lined that up over the sentiment I wanted, held it in place with a low tack tape, and then trimmed that out. Now, also what I like to do is line this with black foam squares because it is a black sentiment, so this kind of helps disguise that there is foam squares behind it. Now I'm just adding my Barely Art Precision Glue to the back of my Merry and Bright sentiment, which I also die cut about 2 to 3 times from white cardstock and layered together for that added dimension, and then added my sub-sentiment underneath. Now, one thing I also want to point out is that those sentiments, those skinny strip sentiments, I go around the edges with a black Copic marker to give it a finished look. I'm just going to repeat those same steps as I did on the other card, and I did also finish the Christmas cookies background off screen. Now, this sentiment was just a little bit longer than I wanted it to be. I wanted it about the same width as that Merry and Bright, so I just trimmed that down with my scissors, and then I could add it right underneath. Now, you could also add some sparkle and gems to these if you wanted to. I decided to just leave them as is. I'm really happy with how they turned out. I didn't feel overwhelmed. I really enjoyed creating these cards, and embossing folders are fairly priced, so they are a great addition to have in your collection to make quick and easy cards. I will have all of my supplies listed down below in the video description and over on my blog as well. Here are a few other videos that I think you may enjoy. I want to thank you so much for joining me today, and I'll see you again soon.